Hello everyone, welcome to General Orlando 327 plays Final Fantasy XIII, episode 44. This is going to be our last episode of Final Fantasy XIII, so I'm going to say right off the bat, if you have a recommendation for which Final Fantasy you want me to start next week, please by all means put it in the comments and I will consider it. Right now I am leaning heavily towards Final Fantasy X. With the possibility of doing Final Fantasy XIII 2 instead. I've mentioned, I believe, okay, wasn't planning on killing you, but whatever. I believe I mentioned in my, this, make things easy on ourselves, in my video, my episode of General Orlando 327 Talks, that I'm not as proficient with 13.2 as I am with 13. I'm actually in the process of writing a guide for 13.2, so I'm very familiar with the mechanics and honestly the storyline and most of the fights and everything. But there's a certain element of randomness added in 13.2 with the random battles that that doesn't necessarily allow it to be as consistent gameplay as 10 is. That said, you know, I still want to do that game on my channel. At the same time, I'm not in any rush to play Lightning Returns, because that is, in my mind, by far the weakest game in the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole, at least as far as main installments go. So I'm not in any rush to be playing that one. On the other hand, 10 is actually kind of a fun game. It is a fun game. And the International Edition of 10 has added some things that some players may never see, just because they may not go out and buy a new copy of 10 and 10.2 on either PS3 or PS4 that had the International Editions on there. So I really kind of do want to play that game on the channel. Be fun to play and hopefully fun to watch. But let's get going with this. Like I say, I'm leaning more towards 10 than 13.2, but it may still happen that I end up doing 13.2 next. If you have an opinion, please by all means put it in the comments. So all we have left is this circle of 7 hunts, and then one final hunt after that, and then we are done with Final Fantasy XIII. The only thing that will be remaining to do are fighting off the improved adamantoises that turn into long gooeys and chow long gooeys, but we are not going to be doing that on this playthrough. I don't know if I'll ever do that on camera, to tell you the truth. Mostly because I don't care that much. The most annoying thing about this circle of Seath Stones and the related hunts is the distance that we have to travel to get to each one of them. There is one on each section of Grand Pulse, starting in Yasha's Massif, and then going all the way to Erba, and then coming back to the plains for the final one. I keep calling this Plains. It's actually the steppe. It's Arclight Steppe, but I keep calling it the Plains because I'm playing a lot of Warframe, and I keep thinking of Plains of Eidolon because there are Eidolons in this game. So it just throws me off every time. Anyway, moving on. So the first one we need to go to is in Yasha's Massif. I did not want to go up here. It's much harder to get back down. I was trying to go between them, but whatever. If this works, I don't care. And I discovered I've actually already filled this episode once, and then my commentary decided that it didn't want to work, so I have to do the whole thing over again. Whoop-de-doo. That's the downside to doing live audio commentary. I've discovered that there were a couple of treasure spheres that we've completely missed. There's one there, and there's one over here somewhere. Well, I'm not going to look that hard for it. It's there. If we stumble across it, we'll find it, but anyway, there's another one that I've apparently never bothered to get in this area. And now I'm too far this direction. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not far enough this direction. Alright. Let's try this again. This episode's probably going to be a little longer than 2 hours, just so I can finish everything. But there's no sense in doing another episode after this. We need to go to Pedrian Archaeopolis. If you're watching this as it airs, then you might notice that I never did do all of the gil for it. I actually earned all of the trapezohedrons the hard way by random drop, but I still am way far away from getting all of the gil that I need. I think I'm only about halfway there, but I did have enough to upgrade our main team of girls all upgraded. So we have the Kane's Lance, the Nirvana, and the Omega Weapon maxed out. So these are the ultimate weapons that I would use for these 3 characters, and they are the only 3 characters I need for the remainder of the playthrough, so who cares? I will still make that video at some point. It's just not going to be anytime right now. The boss isn't up here. That's the final one that we have to do. I went the wrong direction. I went to the right place, I just went to the wrong direction. I could switch out of this paradigm, but it's going to be faster to just nuke them, even if we do have an unnecessary medic in our party.
Didn't even break a sweat.
Actually need to change this to Cerberus. And you'll note that I actually have Vanille as a commando in that paradigm in particular. That paradigm and in Tireless, I actually have one of the paradigms set up wrong. Not that I'll probably use it, but this should actually be that way because Lightning's the other one that has the end spells. Anyway, you'll notice that I have Vanille as a commando. That's because her ability to change as a commando and Ruinga spells are anything Saz can do with his gun, even if I were to max out his gun because of the chosen weapon that we've used. His strength never gets high enough to beat the damage that Vanille can do with Ruin and Ruinga. So, cool. We actually want to go this way because it's a little bit shorter. One less potential battle to accidentally run into on the way. Like I say, the worst part of this entire circle of battles is getting to the marks because it takes forever and there's 16 million battles that you might accidentally run into. Like this one that I'm probably going to accidentally, have to run into because they are going to block my path otherwise. Yeah, see, can't do anything about that. Between the two of them, they never clear enough room for me to get through. But that's okay. Do this. I don't really need assassination, but we're going to do it anyway. Just to weaken them a little bit. Didn't get him barrel the stick, but who cares?
Be ready for the next fight.
Two unnecessary paradigm switches, and it still was a 5-star battle. So since this is only going 44 episodes and then we're done with the series, that means that my longest running series is going to be Tales of Graces. Because we're seriously about, I say we have at least 10 hours, maybe 20 left in that game before we finish the entire thing. And I think that's actually not even counting the, by the way, that was the Mark battle. Probably should have mentioned that. But at this stage, you can just take him out with Commando. That easy. Or Commando. Cerberus. 3 Commandos. Easy peasy. Then we have to walk all the way back. Anyway, so yeah, I actually thought that this was going to be longer than Tales of Graces, but it turns out that Tales of Graces is actually longer if you want to be fairly completionist about it. Actually, I'm not even sure if you don't want to be fairly completionist about it, it's not longer. Because, I mean, we were done with this, what, 5 episodes ago? I think the last episode of the actual story was episode 39. So we've had basically all 2-hour episodes since then. Yeah, we'll just do this way, it's even better. Since we got him on a preemptive strike there, I should have just done that the first time. And I could have easily gotten a preemptive strike when I fought these guys the first time. I was just hoping they'd move out of my way. This is the next battle that's really hard to avoid. Nope. Nope. Haha! Alright. Now we get to go back. And of course, the other thing about this ring is it's pretty much halfway between, I mean, not directly, but about the same distance from both teleport points into the Arclight Step. So, regardless, lots of walking. At least the good news is that, what was the good news? Oh yeah, chocobos. Coming from this direction, you get a chocobo right next to where you warp in, so at least we can skip the majority of it. Well, let's see if my luck is the same as it was last night when I was doing this. When I did this last night, of the like 6 or 7 times that I entered the plains, there was a dig point. This particular dig point was up, I think, 4 or 5 of the times. There were only like 2 or 3 times that it wasn't up. And I think I've explained this at some point, but there's our ribbon. The last one we actually care about. The rest of them are just free money, basically. If I haven't already explained how these work, there are, I think, somewhere along the lines of 8-ish. Don't quote me because I don't remember the exact number. But of potential dig points in the step. Might actually be higher than that. And anytime you come in, I think it loads 5 to 6 of them as being actual dig points for that area. Yeah, I'm too far over, but hey, since I'm here, I'm going to get this dig point. I got thrown off course by that adamant tortoise and then didn't straighten myself back out. Now the majority of it's going to be just millerite ore, which, you know, you can always sell. No big deal. To be fair, at this point, unless you're going for the trophy for having every single item at least once, you can pretty much sell just about everything at this point. In fact, we're going to have to sell some stuff in order to make... There's one battle that we're going to have to upgrade some equipment. And then we're going to have to actually go ahead and sell some. We'll probably sell most of the bangles that we have because we don't need them anymore. But I could probably... I sold all the scarletite in order to get enough gil so that you didn't have to wait another week for this episode. In order to get the gil for... that cutscene comes up every single time you do one of these missions in this circle. Such a waste of time. At least it doesn't get rid of your chocobo when that happens. Anyway, I sold all the scarletite because if you need scarletite, you can always go back to the Tesseracts and that first battle where you come in those two sets of sacrifices. You can farm that for scarletite easily enough, especially now that we have the... I think that's the connoisseur catalog that you would need for that one. It's either collector catalog or connoisseur catalog, and I don't know which one that one falls under. I think it's their rare drop. They drop scarletite and perfume, and I'm not sure which one is actually their rare drop. So I'm actually really excited because by the time this is up, God of War will be out, which I have been hearing very good things about. I've been trying to watch as little as possible about it, only because I don't want to accidentally have things spoiled for me. And I've heard that a lot of the reviews potentially have scenes that would spoil things, just by inadvertently showing things that you're going to want to just experience for yourself. But I've heard a couple of reviewers that I trust call this the game of the generation, so if it's even half that, I will be super excited about it. We need to go to which one now? Yeah, we want to do... The next one's actually in Valis Media, but we're going to jump to the Yasha's Seat because it's a little bit closer than trying to walk from base camp. And the enemies along the way are easier to avoid coming from this direction. The other ones, you basically have to fight just about all the battles, and none of them are worth fighting. I mean, granted, nothing is worth fighting at this point other than for completion, because you don't get... I mean, we've already beat the game, and I'm going the wrong direction, because I always do that coming off of this waypoint. Anyway, nothing's really worth fighting at this point, which is why I don't bother with the GUIs, the upgraded Ortoises, because they only drop dark matters and platinum ingots, I think. Which, if you are to the point where you can take them down, you already have the ultimate weapons. So again, you'd only be doing it for the sake of completion, for the item trophy, which I don't care about. If there's not an in-game reward, I don't care. That's where my practicality of my practical completionist comes in. So anyway, what I was saying was that we don't really need to fight any of these battles along the way. It's just not really worth our time. Not only are they incredibly easy. We've already talked about going through here and saying that we wish there was a gimme for things that were so massively below your level. This is our mark battle, and we're going to have the same tactics as we did the last time, just use Cerberus and kill everything. So not really much worth talking about here. The one thing that the one big flaw I do see in this game is the fact that post-story progression is completely meaningless. Like, you have this huge tier of the Crystarium unlocked, and the ability to realistically develop the roles of all of your party members to do just about anything you actually care about. And yet, at the same time, there's no point in doing any of it. Because you get the Titan's Trials, you get this ring of battles, and then once we get to the end, we'll have the last unique Seath fight. Which, they're decent challenges in their own rights, especially if you're not properly prepared for them. But it's still, like, the nice thing about 13.2 that I really enjoy is that once you finish the storyline, then you can start realistically unlocking, like, alternate endings. That's the beauty of the Crystarium, not the Crystarium, but the Chrono Storia. I can't remember the name of it. Wow, that's gonna bother me. Anyway, the fact that they're manipulating time the whole time, you can go back and forth in time and reset things and do them again with different results. That's really gonna bother me too. Anyway, that they fixed the fact that there was no point in doing anything after the story, along with a much better AI for the paradigms, and the fact that you can set them up now for the paradigms to be focused on one thing or widespread, so you can actually tell it to focus on one thing or the other, which is also excellent. So there are some massive mechanical improvements that they make to 13.2 that over the mechanics of 13, but story-wise, I think everything is downhill from here. I don't mind the story of 13.2. It's definitely an interesting story, but it doesn't. Feeding off the fact that it's a sequel to 13 just dulls down the entire series. And then you have Lightning Returns that just basically shouldn't exist. I will play Lightning Returns on stream at some point, or on camera at some point. And I will try to defend pieces of it. But for the most part, see, we got the same dig point again. But for the most part, it's a game that I basically recommend steering clear of. Because it's just not worth playing. Other than to complete the story of the loose threads that they hang in 13.2, of course. And the fact that it kind of shows, it puts in perspective some of the minor things that they say in 13. And I've pointed out points as we've gone through this playthrough of things that we will revisit in Lightning Returns at some point. And then we can say, hey, look, they had this plan, they had this idea way back in 13, and now it's coming to fruition, and unfortunately they just don't execute that very well. But you also have to realize that Final Fantasy XV and Final Fantasy Type 0 were supposed to also have been set in this universe. Type 0 was supposed to be the prequel to Final Fantasy XIII. Basically an era setting up for why 13 was so significant. Type 0 basically, without any real spoilers, Type 0 basically sets it up so that Historia Crux, that's the plot device for time travel in 13.2. So that the cycle of time that they talk about a little bit in 13, but mostly in 13.2 and a little bit in 13 in Lightning Returns, that they set up this idea of time travel and repeating histories and that kind of thing, but they really set up in Type 0 why this particular set of history is so important, because it ends up that it's the last one. And the story of Type 0 all falls in the one right before this, and why it's set up to be the last cycle of human history if things fail. So it's an interesting... again, it's one of those things where this universe was supposed to be larger, and then 15 was supposed to be versus 13. So I don't know exactly how it was gonna fit in here. We actually need to go to... I think of which... The next one is Mahabharata. I was trying to remember where in Mahabharata it is. We can go right to the waypoint. Most of these we indirectly go to wherever we need to go from the opposite direction. But again, 15 was also supposed to originally be in this universe. And I don't remember the details of what it was supposed to have covered. But basically it was another piece of this history. And of course, since they got rid of 13 verses, and made it 15, and they changed what was Type 0, it was Agito, and it was actually released in Japan as Agito, but it was still, by then it was not part of the 13 universe. I take that back, it may actually still be. I have to double check my facts on that. But, I guess technically, yeah, it is still technically a Fabula Nova Crystallum game. So it does still tell the beginning history of it, but they kind of don't connect the dots. They never followed through with it, because it was intended to be a standalone by the time it got to the US. Okay, I was trying to remember how far I had to go here. Oops, I jumped into the wrong battle. This isn't the one I wanted. But we can kill these in a hurry, so who cares? So I'm certainly not defending their choice of anything in Lightning Returns, including the necessity of the game. But, at the same time, it should have been a more integral part of something rather than just the tail end of a story that was already, like, beaten half to death. Alright, here we go. This is the battle I was actually looking for. I knew it had a Centurion in it, and I just forgot that it was further up. This one is also fairly easy at this stage. We can just focus on killing the Centurion in a hurry. As we've already seen, we can kill it very quickly. Although we don't have a preemptive strike in this case, but we still can kill it in a hurry. Alright, and then we're going to try to get some debuffs to stick on this before it gets down to about 2/3 health, and then we will just swap over and kill it. That's all we need. There's Cerberus. Hopefully kill it before it finishes damage. Or not. Fine, whatever. As you can see, the debuffs weren't particularly necessary, but, you know. We almost killed it before it stood up. There we go.
Didn't even break a sweat.
Woohoo, we get another speed slash that we don't need. Alright, then we get to walk back again. I do want to play... Another game that I definitely want to play on channel sometime is Type 0. I know there's mixed opinions on it. I personally think it's a really good game. A lot of replayability, even if the story is the same, just because of the variety of player choices that you have. And it's designed to be played more than once. You're supposed to go through and beat it and then go back and get the rest of the story, kind of like with Nier Automata, which is another game that I would like to play on stream or on camera at some point. Maybe one of my Wednesday slots I'll play Nier Automata. That'll be a very long series. But in case you can't tell, I don't shy away from that. Especially now that I'm trying to do like 2-hour-ish content for most of them. I still haven't decided, now that I'm playing Ni no Kuni, if I'm going to do that as 2-hour or just typically 1 hour. 1 hour seems to be working very well for that right now. But I'll see what goes. I basically do 2-hour ones for this and Tales of Graces because things happen so infrequently that there's a lot of distance sometimes between point A and point B. So I don't want to leave my episodes being too sparse of real content. If you haven't watched my episode that I put up of opinions needed on my General Orlando 327 Talks stream, I would strongly recommend / request that you do so. Mostly because it talks about where I'm at with the channel, what I want to do in the future, how I want to grow the community. We didn't get the dig point this time. Interesting. Still 2 out of 3 so far. So you guys can pitch in and give me advice as to what you think you want to see on this channel. My 3 main slots are always going to be role-playing games of some sort for the foreseeable future. I don't see changing that anytime soon. But I do want to start doing weekend live streams once I get the tech going and get things to a point where we can actually interact with each other on a live stream and that kind of thing, and get to know the community and get the community involved in choosing content and that kind of thing. And that would typically be from weekend content and possibly from my Wednesday episodes for RPG stuff. I'm gonna finish Ni no Kuni, obviously. I guess that's not obvious considering that I've started Persona 3 and 4 and didn't get very far in either of them before I gave up on that idea. Persona is a game that I may end up playing on my live streams at some point, but I've just determined that it's not a great series for pre-recorded episodes. It just doesn't have the right feel. Whereas my live stream content, I want to play more like interactive games that my audience can decide what exactly they want me to do that day. I mentioned on there that probably my first choice right now is Fallout 4, because I mean there's a variety of content to do. I need to go to think about this. It is okay. It's just City Springs for this one. So Fallout 4 is like my top choice right now. The Lego games are also an option because again they're just fun and light, and we can do whatever. You know, people can be talking about whatever they want to, and I can try to interact and while doing something that's relatively mindless for me to play. And some of the newer Lego games, like the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 that just came out not too long ago, has some really good content in there that, you know, we can just go through and have fun and free play and etc. etc. Run around the city and unlock things. Doesn't matter. But I'm not, and obviously I'm not strictly limiting it to RPGs, and certainly not to JRPGs. So that's content that I would consider doing other things with, aside from my normal 3 episodic releases in the week. I need to set up things a little bit differently here. First, we want Lightning as our party leader. Cerberus moves to the bottom. Hey, there we go. Okay. Alright. And then we need to give you a ribbon. Go. Alright. Other than that, everything is all set up. So we get another Zernitra. And this time we have some Ceratoraptors, and it's actually a lot tougher than it looks. I mean, by now we've gotten the Zernitra thing down, but the Ceratoraptors actually make this more complicated than it looks because they will immediately start summoning Ceratosaurs. Hence the need for a Sentinel to try to deal with everything. We're going to do... What do I need? Hang on. Protecting and Fire. On myself and on Vanille. Alright, and then we can use this to start taking out the ads. Gotta keep a light eye on Fang. Okay. Well, that was not at all what I had planned. This could be a small problem.
Here we go.
Ironically, that actually works a little bit to our advantage because that gets rid of all the status debuffs on Fang. We're going to switch back to this just to refresh our buffs. Haste, haste, bravery. Which one do I need? That'll be a good start. And then in fire. Oops, I'm missing something. Faith. I should have realized that. Oh well. Haste, bravery, faith. No, stop that.
This'll be fun.
On Vanille, thank you. This.
This'll be fun.
Then we just need to give Vanille and Fire one more time, just to make sure that it lasts as long as we need it. Alright. Then we go at it. Okay, got this, but now that that's the case, we can do this. And then we're just gonna finish it. There we go.
That wasn't scary at all.
Give you back your Blessed Talisman. And then we get to reset our paradigms again. Because, I mean, of course we do. Oops. Messed that up. There we go. Oh. Let's do this. Alright, then we get to walk all the way back. Oops. Helps me pay attention to what I'm doing. Alright, so we have done Yasha's Massif, we've done Val's Media, we've done Mahabara, we've done Suya Springs. So the next one has to be Tajin's Tower. Tajin's Tower, Erba, and then back to the steppe. Chocobo. One of these days I need to test whether it's actually faster to go on Chocobo. So I feel like walking all the way over there, then the mounting scene would almost make up for the time that you make up for by actually taking a chocobo. It's not like there are battles in the way that you're avoiding other than the adamant tortoise, which you're going to avoid anyway. Then we get this stupid scene. Alright, so even though we're going to Taji's Tower, it's actually easier to get there from Erba. Regardless, it's a long walk, but this way you can avoid a lot more of the battles than you can the other way. Alright. Because these tend to be a lot more easy to avoid than those dog creature things that chase after you all the time in Taji's Tower. Alright, so now we just need to go to the opposite side of the tower. Try to avoid this fight, but it's not always easy to miss. Good. Alright, so we just need to set up one of our paradigms just a little differently. gonna switch Fang back to our party leader. Alright, so what we need to do is try to get... First goal is to get fog and pain on everything, preferably. Up again. Come on. Well, we all got that, so yeah, I did screw up. I meant to do things a little bit differently, but whatever. I meant to switch Fang to Saboteur this as well, so we would focus on Fog and Pain. Because once we get Fog and Pain on everybody, it's already over. So it's just a matter of officially going in. Well, we got Fog and Pain, so we're going to focus on this one then. The only one that isn't incapable of attacking right now. After that, we may as well just disaster after that. All right. All right. So we can either walk all the way back or we can just go down. I'm gonna go down. Because why not? Come to think of it. All the way to the ground tier. Again, we're going to try to avoid everything on the way out, which is sometimes harder than it seems. This is the one that we're most likely to get run into. Unless they run into each other, which is always fun. There we go. You don't see me, you don't see me, you don't see me. Ah.
That's how it's done.
This is another one that's commonly difficult to miss. Because they like to charge at you and then swipe just as you think you're past them. Kind of have to watch the tracking map so that when they charge at you, you just move out of the way. So that they just miss you with their swipes. Alright. Only 3 more to go, guys. And one of them, this next one, is a cinch. For some reason, this next one is considered a Class A mark, even though it's something we fought like 16 times. Yep, we get to fight another Juggernaut. It's not even like 2 Juggernauts or like Juggernaut and 16 other things. Nope, just 1 Juggernaut. I don't understand the significance of this. Like, why does he do this every single time? We've already beat his trials. I don't think that's ever anything I don't think that's anything that's ever explained as to what that has to do with anything. I mean, they bring back the changing the weather thing in 13.2. And that might be what it's hinting at, but yeah, I still don't really see the point. We're gonna go this way. I could make it out in front of there, but it doesn't really make a difference at this point. If I try to make it out in front of there, it just feels too much like Frogger. Then again, we might know why the giant chicken crossed the road. It really was just to get to the other side. Alright, last one in Erba. Well, last fight in Erba. Not entirely true either, but we'll be coming back to Erba in a few moments to pick up the very last quest. In fact, it's not a horrible idea to just do it now. Do things in reverse order. So that we don't have to come back to Erba again. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do these last 2 out of order. Finish this one and then do the final one before I go back and do the last one on there. Oops. I was not paying any attention to what I was doing there. Smart bomb is perfectly fine. I Because we'd like to get a preemptive strike if it's plausible, and it usually is if with enough patience, although we don't particularly need it. No, you're just gonna stare me down now? Oh, there you go. Alrighty then. Hello, preemptive strike. And there we go. Why that's a Class A rank fight, I have absolutely no idea. Alright, we're going to need that Royal Armlet. So instead of going back for the last stone there, we're going to continue on this way because the very last mission of the game starts where we fought Bartandalus at the very end of Chapter 11. So we're going to go there first and get it out of the way. And then we get to go to the opposite side of the world. Go to the Hydraean Archaeopolis. Is where the actual fight is. Back where we back where we kept doing the Bitu something, whatever, Mission 7, to get the tetradic gear so that we can make our sprint shoes. There we go.
If there was any doubt.
Alright, a bunch of these we're probably not going to be able to avoid. I did that just in time. But Cerberus will take everything down in a hurry around here. Three people casting Rohingya twice in a row? Yeah. Bye. Oh, speaking of which, I never mentioned that the ultimate weapons also give us a 6th ATB gauge slot. Yeah, this is annoying, but remember back when those things were hard? Okay, I guess I always made them look easy on this, but I remember back when they were actually a challenge for me. Trust me, if you're not properly set up for those things are a pain. Someday I want to do a speed run of this game on the channel. I think that'll be fun. Mind you, I'm horrible at speed runs. I don't typically do them. But it would make for an interesting challenge of my abilities. I may have mentioned somewhere back in the beginning of this series that I actually did try a speedrun of this game. And I made it to... Can't remember if I actually stopped at the Hackathon fight or if I made it a little bit further than that. I think I actually did make it a little bit further than that. Can't remember for sure. Yeah, I think I made it into Tajin's Tower somewhere before I actually gave up on it. Granted, my time wasn't that great, but... It's the first thing I've ever actually tried to speedrun. I sort of speedrun Diablo 3, just mostly by coincidence than anything else. Because the better content is after you unlock everything anyway, so... And up until then, you're just trying to get a feel for your build. So usually I play through the entire story of Diablo 3, and the... expansion, just so I get an idea for how I want my build to be, and then I just start running Nephilim Rifts and stuff like that. I just recently dug that game back out again. Basically hadn't played it since before they made Nephilim Rifts an endless thing. You actually had to collect the pieces and turn them in order to unlock a Nephilim Rift. And see, now you're making me want to play Diablo 3. Way to go, guys! Oh, speaking of, not really, but another piece of content that I really want to make in the medium to distant future is I want to do Warframe content, because my life is being sucked away by that game because it's just so good. Let me think of which one is closer. It really doesn't matter. We're gonna go to this one. But I really want to make Warframe content, and that's probably going to be a Saturday or weekend content, because it's not something that fits well for recorded content, because, I'm not iFlynn. I can't just pre-record, gameplay and talk about it. Not real good at it, in case you can't tell from this entire series. Hopefully by then I'll be more polished at what I'm doing anyway, but I'm not that great of a player to start with for Warframe, so it makes things a little bit more complicated. Alright, so before we pick up a Chocobo, we're going to go here and upgrade some gear. You need another witch's bracelet. And then we need... You need a royal armlet. Oops. I really ought to just do it that way, but whatever. Alright, so we have one royal armlet. You're gonna get the imperial armlet, witch's bracelet, and black belt. And then you get the nimble toe boots. And finally, you get 2 witch's bracelets. You get the same... No, you don't. I was going to say you get the same gear as Fang. You get the general's belt instead of the black belt. Witch's bracelet. Witch's bracelet. And the other maxed out royal armlet. Alright. So we don't actually need to upgrade anything. We will for the next fight. I could actually do it now, but I'll wait until I'm actually on that mission to do it. Alright. So here we go. Now we get the stick point again. Don't care. Not going that direction. Did I not take that mission? Did I go all the way out to Erba and then not take the mission? You gotta be kidding me. Yeah, no, I did. Where's the... Oh, because I'm in the wrong place. This is the other mission. Yeah, no, that mission's not here. This mission is back in the Pedraean Archaeopolis, so I went to the wrong place. Alright. See, I was thinking the locations in my mind in order, in the correct order, and then forgot that I skipped to the other one. It's okay, we don't have very far to go. And now we get all, like, psychedelic colors here for some reason. It's kind of weird effect that happens when you do this mission. Alright, so we're going to try to avoid a bunch of these fights because we really don't want to fight these things. Alright, well, I haven't changed my paradigms yet, so we're going to kill them. We're going to kill them all. Alright. Smart bomb. Attack, that's the important one. Okay, we switch to Cerberus, but we got poison to stick, even better. There we go.
That's how it's done.
Alright. Yeah, you guys couldn't have just gone on without me and done the same thing that I always do to you and just skip all the fights. And I just turned the wrong direction, didn't I? Never mind. Hey, ignore that rant, girls. I went the wrong direction. Okay, we avoid that one easily. This is the one that's a kind of a pain to avoid sometimes. But I discovered that if you go around this way, cheat it. Alright, now before we actually go there, we do need to reset our paradigms. We need to have, I do believe we need, oh, I've got this backwards. Yeah, light. Go. Alright. Alright, here goes. So all those little, Seath stones that just laid down there, those were all of the unique Seath that we fought as marks. And basically it combines all of their, traits into this one final unique Seath that we have to fight. Alright, first step, of course, is Flipper. Alright, then we are going to spam Poison while we let the other girls debuff anything else they can get their hands on. And then once we have Poison and Deprotect, it's to Tireless Charge we go. To do as much damage as we can as quickly as possible. So we could actually do... So once he hits this Impenetrable Aura, we're going to go into buffing ourselves while he does nothing but heal himself. The ones that we need are Haste and Bravery on Lightning.
Thanks.
And then Bravery on Fang. And then we switch back and wait for the next round of Poison. So we could just literally sit in... Tortoise and let Poison do its job and just kill him with Poison, but that's just boring, so I prefer to make this a little bit more active anyway. By now, if you are not capable, if you're not thrilled with your skills, you really shouldn't be doing this fight in the first place. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and cast Faith. We really don't need to cast Faith on Vanille because, well, nobody really cares. But, because she's not going to do anything other than heal. And the occasional Saboteur cast. Alright, speaking of, let's do this. Poison, poison, poison. There we go. Tireless Charge. The caption we have to watch for is Wicked Whirl, and as soon as that comes up, we drop into Tortoise to prevent ourselves from just being flat out demolished. And then it's basically just rinse and repeat and gradually wear down his health between Poison and our commando attacks. Which is why we've tried to keep Haste and Bravery on Fang as much as we possibly can. And as counterintuitive as this almost is, we basically want to heal when, or guard when, buff and guard when he guards, and then just go on the offensive when he's on the offensive. As much as you would think you would want to defend while he's on the offensive, you can't attack him while he's on his guard, so who cares? Alright, now we wait. There we go. And see, as we go, we're gradually taking larger chunks of his health, and there we go. Back to Tireless Charge. I have a feeling he's going to do Wicked Whirl this time around. as we go further into the fight, he'll use it more and more often, and we'll have to drop back to Tortoise and then heal as quickly as possible. Okay, well that works too. What do we got here? Nothing we particularly need, so let's just toss on some random things, I guess. There we go. And then be ready for the next round. There it is. I need to drop into Tortoise immediately. There we go. That actually, because we had Protector and Shalra up that time around, that actually didn't do all that much to us, which is kind of interesting, but now we can go back to our usual strategy. Nope, not that button. Thank you. And of course he gets more and more dangerous as we keep going as well, but as long as you're paying attention to that one caption and you're fully decked out with defending item or equipment and good weapons, you got this. As long as you don't get sloppy.
Let's make this easy. Don't sweat it.
Back into this. So we're done. There we go. ATB protect now, please. There we go. If we really wanted to be ambitious, we also could upgrade we could also upgrade Lightning's Axis Blade so that we get the ATB charge in combination with her Nibbletoe boots, but we don't necessarily need to. Of course. Okay, we're getting closer and closer to finishing him off, but not quite there yet. Probably got 2 more rounds, depending on how badly he hits us with, no, we probably got 2 more rounds. 2 more rounds of impenetrable aura in between. Maybe not. If we get lucky, never mind, you just do if we didn't use that again, we probably could have done it, but don't mind. I'm pushing a little bit with the damage levels, but we might be able to finish it before he goes into another impenetrable aura. Nope, not quite. Very close, just not quite there. We'll have it this time, though. In fact, I'm not. No, we need to.
Thanks.
As I said, I thought about not bothering with debuffs, but because he's got all those buffs that he does, yeah, he definitely didn't want to not do that, because otherwise he would have still had bravery on. That would have been bad. We're gonna do this. Stampede protect. All the other two heal us. Even though I don't have deep protect stuff, we're still going to be able to finish it here unless he immediately does something with your whirl. There we go. And that's basically the toughest enemy in the game. Alright. And our reward for that is the gold watch, which if you are a diehard 5-star battle person, that gold watch will allow you to go back, and if you equip it on one of your party members, you can use it to increase the target times, so you have a better chance of getting 5 stars. Plus, if you're a completionist, you have to get it there in order to get the to get every item in the game. So it's necessary. Alright, now back to the step to do our very last one. I suppose those aren't actually the hardest enemies in the game, because I always forget about the Shalong Gooeys that are actually the hardest monster in the game. I just never bother to fight them, because why? Alright, before we get on the Chocobo for this one, we are going to we need to upgrade some stuff for the last fight we're going to do. Or the last mark we're going to do. Let's get our equipment on first, so I make sure I have everything. Alright, you need a Genji glove. You need a Genji glove. You need a Weird Glyph. And then we need 3 more Witch's Bracelets. And we have 1 Uranite, so we can upgrade our Rune Bracelet, so we only need to buy 2 more Witch's Bracelets. And then upgrade everything up. So let's go to this. I have to buy the 2 Witch's Bracelets. No, I have to buy 1. Alright, let's sell off stuff here. Alright, I still don't have enough. We have a bunch of Millerite, and we can easily get that from Chocobo dig points now, so I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of all of those. Not that we need them at this point anyway. If you are going to try to do all of the upgrading so that you get one of every item at some point, then I would probably not sell those. I don't know what needs them and what doesn't, so I would not do that. But kind of like I wouldn't sell these. Um, but because I don't really care, I'm going to go ahead and do it so that we get the money that we need to do the rest of this. Alright, and we need 2 witches bracelets. If you don't have a Uraninite in your inventory, then buy 3, because it's cheaper to buy another witch's bracelet and just upgrade that than it is to upgrade the rune bracelet if you have to buy the Uraninite to turn it into a witch's bracelet. But I have it, so we're going to do it this way. And then I need Nora's Garage. We need 21 superconductors. And 24. Yeah. Alright, so I gotta sell something else. Let's just sell one of our platinum bangles. We don't need it anyway. In fact, I made more from that than by selling the 10 Millerites that I sold, but whatever. It is one more perfect conductor that we need. Alright, then we're just going to go ahead and... Well, I'm going to equip them first because I can. So... Rune bracelet. Oh, that one's fine. Oh, those are going to be at the bottom now, aren't they? Yep. Witch's bracelet. Witch's bracelet. Alright, upgrade the rune bracelet that we have equipped. Two superconductors. Then our Uraninite. I don't know why I did that the long way when I could have just done it the easy way, but whatever. And then we put the rest of our superconductors into it. And then we have a maxed out witch's bracelet. And then we're going to do the other 2 that we have at level 1. We'll use half of our perfect conductors here. And the other half there. And there we go. Now we've got everything we need. Then we take the chocobo, because we'll need it to get up to where they are. Oh, shoot. You know what I forgot to do? We'll set our paradigms. Oh well, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Regardless, we'll have time to do it. Oh, I haven't actually gotten the mission. Da, da, da. Sorry about that. I was like, now why isn't it showing up? Because I didn't go get the mission. just that my paradigm swallow is off my chocobo. Oh well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Alright, here we are. Remember back when I joked in wherever it was that we fought one of these? I know we fought one in Titan's Trials. I can't remember if we fought one before them. But back when we fought one of these things, I joked that at least we don't have to fight two of them. Yeah, about that. Have to fight two of them. Let's get this set up properly. First we need to switch those back. Make sure I get the right people in the right roles. So this is virtually the exact opposite tactics as what we did in the last fight. This fight we basically need to go all out the entire time to try to get them down as quickly as possible. Whereas the other fight we just kind of buffed everything up and kept going. You know what I think I forgot to do? No, I didn't. Good, I set it up properly. Nice. Alright, so we need to get slow on both of them ASAP. Alright, then we do the same thing to the other one. There we go. Right, then we're going to do this, and then wait until we get haste and shell on everybody. There we are. Then we go here to get Rivera on Fang and Lightning. There we go. And then we go all out on this guy. We want to take this guy out as quickly as we can, which means staggering it as quickly as we can. If we need to heal, we have Thaumaturgy so that Vanille can heal us while we keep up the assault, but I don't think we're going to need it. The good news is that these things are really slow to start with, and then with slow on them on top, it just makes it a lot easier. Alright, we need to use Ruthless just long enough to get Deep Protect. There we go. And then we go to Relentless Assault to finish things. Whoa, 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 where did Deep Protect go? Did you just heal yourself? That was not how that was supposed to work. You gotta do this in the next second, because otherwise we're in trouble. We're gonna do this. We're gonna high wind it. There we go. Problem solved. Every once in a while, just throw that one in there and it'll do damage equivalent to whatever the chain gauge is. Alright. Alright, if we're lucky, we can do Try Disaster and just finish this before even needing to heal. But we don't have slow on here anymore, so it might not matter. That's not gonna happen. I think it cast Dispelja. I think that's what it cast. That's why all of our buffs are gone too. That's a nuisance. Huh. Alright, well here's what we're gonna do then. Yo, slow. One stick? Make yourself immune to slow? No, it's just not sticking. Oh, there it is. Good. Finally. Alright, coordination to give me... Oh, we've already got Brave. I don't care. That's fine. Let's do Try Disaster then. I was hoping to interrupt that attack, but it didn't happen. Ruthless. We can protect down there. And then reload Assault. And we will be done momentarily. There we go. And that's it. That's all of the missions for Final Fantasy XIII. We get our third Genji glove from that. Woohoo. We actually would want that if we were going to go kill more turtles. And after finishing that fight, we also have the larger, the Adamant Tortoises are upgraded to Xiaolonguis. Monguis and Xiaolonguis. So we have those now to contend with. The Adamantulids are still around for some reason. But whatever. So that's that. Let's see. I was going to do one last thing. Let me run to the teleport marker. Just for the fun of it, we're going to go fight Bartandalus and Orphan again. Do the final boss sequence. Just so we can see how much easier it is now. How little thought we have to put into it at this point. So, we jump to Valus Media. And I'm making much better time than I did last night when I was recording this. We're not even 2 hours yet. Took 2 3/4 last night when I did this. Guess that shows you how much efficiency I saved by practicing in advance, huh? Should probably learn a lesson from that. But y'all know me, I'm not going to. Alright, let's set up our paradigms and equipment real quick. We want Vanille as our leader. We need... Just thinking about the best way to do this. out my equipment. Because we definitely don't need the gear we have on. Alright, we want Genji glove, Witch's bracelet, and 2 power gloves. No, not Witch's bracelet. Waving glyph. Weirding glyphs. You need... Can't remember what the third thing I put on her was. Or the fourth thing. I know what the third thing was. The third thing is Cherub's crown. I don't think you need this, but I guess maybe that's the other thing that I put on there. Did I tilt the wrong? No, okay, we're good. Don't need anything. We actually don't even need Ethersol. That's nice. Okay, we can skip the cutscene though. Don't need that. Alright, so our goal here is to get through the entire thing without needing to reset between bosses. Basically, we're going to stick what we can here. Basically, going to be Protect, Imperil, and Shell. Come on, Imperil. Stick. There we go. Then we go to try Disaster. Run up the chain gauge just a bit. Oh no, Ultima will do like 2,000 damage. Oh no, whatever shall we do? Oh, that's right, we'll just go. See, this is where if I had a choice, I would trigger High Wind and just end it before he gets a chance to cancel out the stagger. But, alright, 1 minute to do that. Okay, and then we get like 7 cutscenes in between, because of course we do. Oh no, we don't. This one is immediate, and then we get 7 cutscenes in between. Alright, so this is the only fight that's kind of a challenge. First thing we need to do is switch over to Salvation, because he's going to open with that nasty attack. So we can immediately heal before everybody dies. Because actually using Renew takes too long to cast. So yeah. Alright, then we go to Smart Bomb. This is also the round that we could accidentally get randomly killed by a death spell. So that's the reason that I threw the Cherub's Crown on Vanille, because I don't care if the other 2 die. I do care if Vanille dies. Yeah, I was gonna say, he doesn't have any relevant status to these. Imperil and Shell. Wait. we go. And then try disaster. Again, we're gonna have to chain gauge just a little bit. Let's do one more quick run through. He's gonna cancel the thing before we even get a chance to finish him. Because he's about to do Merciless Judgment again. Oh, I thought he was going to use Merciless Judgment. Of course, there it is. Which, of course, cancels the stagger. It's probably the most annoying part of that. I don't even care about the critical at this point. Jump to salvation, and we're going to heal before he does any more attacks, so... There we go. Alright. The good news is that we can just jump right back to try disaster because he doesn't clear his buffs right away. He will clear them, just not right this second. And this is where we start to worry about an accidental death spell. That Vile Exploitation is the one that could potentially random cast death. I'm not even going to switch back. There we go. And that was the only hard phase. We're up to 3 minutes and 39 seconds in battle. And of course we have a Doom counter on the last one. Skip through 7 cutscenes. One more. Nope, I thought there was one more. Alright, no biggie. Alright, now all we want to do is try to throw some debuffs on him. Actually, we're using infiltration, that's what I made this paradigm for. We want to get as many debuffs as we can while we're building up the stagger. Get first and slow, and then I think that's all the debuffs we need. I'm not going to start casting Death yet. I have good reasons for that. Curse is the one we really want to get stuck on, although slow is useful too. And I'm just going to keep casting debuffs for the sake of... there we go, that's the one we care about. Then we're going to try Disaster him into a stagger. As soon as he's staggered, we are going to switch back to Smart Bomb and start hard casting Death. And hope that we don't accidentally have the girls kill him before Vanille's death sticks. I don't think we're going to get another death off before they kill him. Nope, we're not. Oh well. So a total of like under 5 minutes. Just under 5 minutes. In battle for the final boss sequence. And that's how much easier it is once you've done all of the other things and have everything open to you. And that round is why we had the Genji gloves equipped, because we were doing well over 999 damage. Which just ends it quickly. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this entire playthrough of Final Fantasy XIII. Hopefully, if you hadn't already played the game, you've learned something about the actual quality of this game. And if you still don't like it, fair enough. But I actually feel that this game, in and of itself, is just outstanding entry into the Final Fantasy series. Ignore 13.2 and Lightning Returns. 13.2 has some merit, but I think it dilutes the story too much to actually have been worth producing. As although it does fix a lot of the mechanical issues, but then focusing on only like two major characters, and the nemesis and etc. But only focusing on the two major party members also kind of, it's a style choice, but at the same time I don't feel like it was the best option. But when we get to playing Final Fantasy 13.2 on the channel, then I'll talk about all of those things. For me, this ranks up there in my top 5 Final Fantasy games. It definitely ranks probably third in terms of like game mechanics system. I really actually like the way that they did combat, which for me is kind of surprising. I'm usually a turn-based kind of guy, but I think this is just the natural evolution of what they'd had previously. I think there's still plenty of strategy in there, contrary to what the naysayers may want to tell you. There's a lot of strategy going into the optimum ways to defeat bosses and so on, and trying to get through things earlier than necessary, that kind of thing. And development. I do still want to do a series of videos as weekend content, going through each character and their progression path and weapon choices for each stage of the game. I think that's going to be an interesting series, and it's going to take me a lot of time to put together, but I think it'll be a fun series talking about when they get what skills for each chapter of the game. I'll probably realistically start in Chapter 9 when the entire party comes together and you actually have options, but because before that point it's basically a linear progression, and you're stuck with certain party members that have to do certain things in their roles. But once you get the option to open up your roles more, I think it's an interesting thing to talk about. It lends more to the way that the game was designed for strategy. So that's the series that I'm still going to be working on, but it's going to be a while before that actually comes out. So I'm pretty solidly in the camp of I'm going to be doing Final Fantasy X starting next week. The only two systems that I really enjoyed more than this for core mechanics as far as the systems of the game go are Final Fantasy V is still my favorite with that job system. And my second favorite is actually Final Fantasy X too. Forget the story. The story's, silly, and while it has its interesting moments, it's whatever. The feel of the characters for that game compared to Final Fantasy X, where some of them actually had gravitas, fed to you, they're all whimsical, and it's just kind of a game of contradictions. But I honestly think that the dress sphere system, the way they tried to evolve the sphere grid a little bit into having that dress sphere system, is actually one of the most underrated developments in a Final Fantasy series, because of the fact that they called it a dress sphere system and it was in an otherwise kind of silly game. I think the system hasn't gotten enough credit, and so that's something that I want to work my way up to playing on the channel, which means we need to play Final Fantasy X first, and 10 obviously has a great story. The only downside that I have for Final Fantasy X, besides the extremely convoluted sphere grid that I think was much more nuanced in the Final Fantasy XII license boards, especially once you got into the Zodiac Age, the international version of the game. I think that nuanced the sphere grid system from 10 into a method that's pretty outstanding in 12. So this kind of opens up a couple of things. For one thing, it'll allow me to go back later and look at Final Fantasy XII, and we can talk about the evolutions of the system, since they're very similar systems. We can go from the job classes of the old games to the sphere grid, and then on to the natural evolution, which was really the license board. And I know a lot of people don't really like the license board, but again, I think it gets a lot of sometimes warranted scrutiny and sometimes not, especially once you look at the international version of it. So that's where we're going on this channel in our Final Fantasy series. I'm about 98% certain at this point that I'm going to do Final Fantasy X next, and then we'll go from there. So I hope to see you next week. I hope you've enjoyed this playthrough. I hope I didn't bore you too much with my ramblings. I imagine if you've gotten this far, then you probably are not bored by my ramblings. I would hope. Anyway, everybody have a great day. Thank you very much for watching.